we can't be out there for 2 weeks. He said, well, I need my phone every day. And I said, all right, you're away. That's what you do is 2 weeks.
Pepsi tonight.
So is it gonna talk to Shaw?
Probably.
Well, the other situation.
We hit it on me.
Tim. Don't ask me why it does it. but
Well,
I-
pending that gong that says it's 5 o'clock, which is about a minute away, I want to welcome everybody, and I hope that everybody had a wonderful conference. I was going to say, I hope you had a great Easter, but we've met since Easter, so that's old news. And so I want to welcome everybody, and I hope you had, I was in Kalispell for 4 nights, got back last night about this time. The weather was terrible down there, just like it was here. So you know, why drive 3 hours just to have bad weather? That's 3 hours each way, by the way.
So that's why I'm going to Vegas next week in North Carolina.
You're driving slow, it's taking you 3 hours.
Oh, I know, but, yeah.
May I ask, it took you a while to figure that one out.
I know. So that means my destinations have got to be not mountain destinations, they've got to be oasis, tropical destinations.
There you go. Why?
Well, I will call the meeting to order and officially welcome everyone, and welcome the media. Larry Peterson from the Temple City Star, Corey McCarthy from Channel 32. Welcome, gentlemen from the media. We appreciate the reporting that you do, the service that you provide to the community. So thank you very much for what you do, keeping our people informed, and welcome administration, and again, commendation for the excellent work you do. You have 3 meetings a month, and you have to prepare agenda and backgrounder for those 3 meetings. And so, and welcome each of you at council. Seems to me that a week ago, we had a absentee whose turn it was to say prayer, so we'll pick on him one more time. Councillor Smith, you have the honors.
Okay, but I might forget how to do it. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for all the many blessings which Thou hast given us. We're grateful for this beautiful earth which we have to live upon, and for all the wonderful opportunities that we have to enjoy and partake of. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve in our community as members of the council and represent the good citizens of Cardston. We ask that Thou will bless us, that we will make good decisions on behalf of our residents, and that we will be cordially with each other and do those things that will be best and most beneficial for our community. We thank Thee again for all that Thou hast given us, and we say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Councillor. We have 2 additions to the agenda for tonight. They are both correspondence related, and so if you'll turn over, one is going to be 12C, and it's a piece of correspondence from Global. And 12D is a piece of correspondence from Schow.
From who? Shaw?
Shaw.
Okay.
First,
Bless
sorry,
Bless
Global,
you.
did you say?
Global
Training.
global training, sorry, not global TV, global training, thank you very much. I was looking for that word. And so the chair will honor a motion to accept. Councillor Edmonds so moves. Adoption of the agenda with those 2 additions. Any discussion, council, on that motion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Motion passes as to the adoption of the agenda with those 2 additions. We have no delegations tonight, and so it looks like we missed about a month ago some minutes relating to a public hearing. And so we'll need a motion to adopt those minutes that were omitted for a February 12th public hearing. Councillor Court so moves. Any discussion on that motion to adopt the minutes from the public hearing of February 12th? Seeing that, I will call that question. All in favor carries. Thank you very much. Also, we are chair seeking a motion for passage of the adoption of the minutes from the regular council meeting of March 26th, about 3 weeks ago. Councillor Kronen so moves. As you've gone through those minutes, council, any questions or concerns? I will call that question as well. Motion carries. Minutes of the March 26th regular council meeting are adopted. Marian, would you speak to us just briefly on the MSI funding reduction? Some more good news, as you obviously saw as you looked through it. So, Marian, if you'd speak to that.
Good news.
Yes, I contacted Municipal Affairs regarding the reduction in our MSI operating funding. Sorry, I'll step up to the podium. And the response is in your package. I had a telephone conversation with a representative there who is the grant policy advisor, but asked that she put that in writing so that I could provide that to council and give a little bit clearer definition of the reason for a reduction. Basically, there's a portion of our funding that is calculated under what's called a sustainable investment portion of the funding, and that is subject to fluctuations resulting in our per capita of equalized assessment. So what happened is, because our equalized assessment actually increased, because our assessment has increased, but our per capita didn't, like our population did not increase. So that in turn then reduced the SI portion of the funding. Again, as council's aware, the next 2 years we will be budgeting for the elimination of that grant. And so this happened a little sooner than we expected because of the reduction, because of the SI, but there's the explanation for you. It's a fairly complicated formula that's used to calculate that, but I did suggest to them, and she said she would pass this on, that perhaps those notices need to come out with a year's grace, because we had passed our budget in December of 2012, and we didn't receive notice of the reduction until March of 2013. So I said, I understand that there has to be a threshold and there has to be a formula, but perhaps it could be a 1-year advance formula so that we could better prepare ourselves for those reductions.
Thank you, Marian. Just a couple of comments that I would make, but anybody from council want to comment? Councillor Kronen.
There is, in the third paragraph, something that really struck me, is that per capita items that you're talking about it. It says that our population remained constant between 2011 and 2012, while the province increased 3.2%, which is one of the reasons why we lost some money on our MSI capital component. And I thought, if that is the case, every year we're going to be hit more and more, because the province population is supposed to grow, and so we, in comparison, are going to be losing money every year unless we can manage to increase the population in town. And I thought that is an interesting concept.
I have a solution. I think every one of us as members of council should recruit one new
person.
family
I agree.
per month to move to Cardston.
Well, BC is doing a fine job. I can tell you, we brought a lot of them over here.
Marian.
Just for clarification, this is a grant that's being eliminated.
Yeah.
So we already know that it is going to be eliminated, so I'm not sure that in this particular grant that's going to be an issue moving forward.
So essentially, that money we cannot count on
That's right.
any longer.
We know it's being eliminated.
Yeah, we knew under that. But I thought it was interesting that I have a son. We are a small town, and we kind of penalize for being a small town.
Just another thought on this one. And, you know, I'm sure that we're not the only
No,
small urban that has had stagnant population.
No, it's affecting an awful lot of small
I'm sure.
town and villages.
So maybe those around this table who happened to be at AUMA convention in November of 2013, about 6 or 7 months away from now, maybe bring that up during a Q&A with the relevant minister or maybe the premier herself, that please do the responsible thing. As Marian has indicated, give us a year's grace on these things.
Yeah.
We go to all the trouble, in most responsible fashion, a lot of trouble, to get our budget approved by the December of the year prior. You know, a month or two prior to that fiscal that year. And then they hit us with this kind of stuff. Councillor Dahl, you got a comment? No? Okay.
I agree with what you say, Mayor.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's an awful big hit, $110,000.
It really is, and let's not get started on the other big hit that we.
Sorry, just the question there, are they, the MSI funding, are they just eliminating the capital portion of it there, or the operating and capital?
Just the operating.
They're eliminating the
is
operating?
being eliminated.
Oh, it is.
Well, the capital is a per capita.
They're going to have to replace it with something. Who knows what that's going to look like? Maybe it will involve some of those linear tax dollars that are sitting. Anyway, we won't go there.
Please don't do that.
Okay, so item number 7, these are the committee of the whole recommendations from the meeting of a week ago. Number 1 is the donation requested from the Health Foundation. Second is the Town of Coldwell resolution to AUMA, and they're seeking our support for that. And then the emergency bylaw. Because this is not something that needs to go to public hearing, if council chooses, I'm going to go back and touch each one of them, I'm not just racing through them, we will give them justice. We can, if council chooses, and this is not something that just an emerging issue, it is kind of, it was there before us a week ago. We can do third readings if council chooses, so we may go through that process or not if council would prefer to just say do 1 reading and then do the next 2 readings at a subsequent meeting. And then back to the Cardston Health Foundation donation. We know at this point in time that the county, and commendations to the county, we'll go on record for that, they are matching a similar amount that we have recommended from Committee of the Whole to commit to the Health Foundation. So as recommended by Committee of the Whole, we will need a motion. Councillor Dahl.
I also move that we follow the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that motion. However, there is some discussion that we need to have on that. Councillor Court, you had some comments?
I'm looking, or I'm reading the letter here, and is Mrs. Baker actually the one driving this return to maternity? We currently do not have a doctor that does C-sections. We do have anesthesias, but we do not have a doctor that does C-sections. I think that was alluded to last week that we do, but we do not. Having talked to one of the 3 nurses that are actually maternity nurses, my wife being one of them, she's not quite sure where this is going and where it's leading to, unless they're planning on increasing staffing or something to that effect. Now, I have no problem with donating money if that's what they're going to, if it's going to be used for that, for the right purpose. And we'd had the discussion with the county as well, and they've been asked basically to supply the other half. Is that correct?
And at their council meeting yesterday, it's my understanding that that was approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was approved.
There are 2 doctors listed here.
They are anesthesias.
Then the
Dr.
third
Clark
doctor- the
is
third
not
doctor.
an anesthetist.
Dr. Park they can deliver babies, but they do not do C-sections in the case of an emergency. Since Dr. Russell retired, I don't think we've had one that's done that. So
Well, Dr. Hollingsworth was also.
Dr. Hollingsworth as well. but
Now,
retired.
Well, is he totally retired at this
Now,
point?
Dr. Bester is mentioned in here as, to quote these ladies, Kia and Norma, and I guess they're quoting Cindy Baker. I better be careful, they aren't quoting her on this one. Dr. Bester, they indicate is
Retired.
being or is added to our team as a surgeon. And so I'm guessing that would be the doctor indicated to do those C-sections. Any other comments, Council? Councillor Creed.
Yeah, this is taking a little different tack, but I think it's great that, that they're trying to provide that we can have, deliveries in Cardston, I think, so that people don't have to travel to Lethbridge. Just a thought that I had, I was impressed with the Wild Rose Foundation. You're probably aware that all of the Wild Rose Caucus has decided that they are not going to take an increase, and they're donating all of the extra money of the MLA pay to a foundation, which they'll make donations. And I felt like this might be something that would be of interest to them, to know that Cardston is trying to have deliveries here in Cardston, and that mention to them that we are donating, and that if they would like to consider, that we might send a letter to Gary Bickman or someone and suggest that this might be a worthy cause for them to contribute to with their foundation.
So administration, maybe take note of that and see what you can find in that one. Councillor Smith.
I was just gonna say, it's probably something that Cindy Baker should do, I think
Yeah.
we've gotten a little bit of hot water from.
Well, we
I
would
think we-
pursue this from whatever direction, and Councillor Kronen.
Well, I thought, as much as think that your idea is good, I think we as council need to be as neutral politically as we can and refer it to the right channel to contact the politician. And I think Cindy Baker is probably the right person to kind of move along in that direction, if that's what
Maybe we
she's
should
trying to do, is
Maybe that
raise
suggestion
funds.
to
It's
them,
good
to
to
that
do that, yeah.
foundation, and that they might be aware of that as an option for them to seek funding.
Good comment.
We can't be political.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not political,
but-
it's just that.
But let's remember,
Everything's political.
who our MLA is. He is our MLA.
Right.
No, I mean, it
Whether-
is,
That's true.
So, I mean, I think that we,
Represents the
it
citizens.
needs to be contacted through the right channel, which
Well, I
I
think
think is the author of
I
this
think we'd
letter.
be cutting off our nose to spite our face if we didn't at least investigate
Yes.
options such as Councillor Creed has referred to, and I appreciate and thank you for that, Councillor. Marian, you had a comment, and then Councillor Edmonds.
I was just going to suggest that it's probably more appropriate that the Health Foundation requests funding for projects that they're undertaking.
Maybe we
We can
Mhm.
support that request,
Yeah.
but I think it's more
Yeah,
important.
I wonder if they're aware, I just wonder if we
Yeah,
could
we'll
make
make
them
them
aware
aware,
of
yeah.
that.
Okay, Councillor Edmonds.
Doesn't the government have to approve them doing cesarean sections before they go ahead and do it?
My guess would be the region is who, that'd be my guess. And let's remember that there's a resident of our area, being Don Johnson, who is on that super board. And so and that wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe have that member of the super board who's from Barnwell come and speak to us at some point down the road, just to give us a little bit of information. I think he'd love to come and talk to us, and that's not a political move, that's just, he's on that super board, and so we maybe have him report to us. Now, I was away from that one meeting. It was kind of a dry informational meeting that the region gave when I was away, so maybe that's old news, I don't know. Okay, so any other comments? I think to some degree, we need to leave some of these matters to these people on that foundation. They do exhaustive work. I don't think they would spend our $12,500 frivolously in any way, shape, or form. And I think that they're not going to go ahead and take our money and the county's money and go put a fetal heart monitor in a surgical studio that's not going to get used.
That was a comment I was just going to make. The other experts, like, if they think that's where the money needs to go, then who am I to question them, I guess?
Thank you for that, Councillor. I will call the question. Councillor Dahl made the motion to support the recommendation from the Committee of the Whole for the $12,500 donation to the Health Foundation. All in favor? Carries. Thank you. I appreciate the discussion, Council. All of your comments are very valuable. Now, the item number 7A2 is the Town of Calder resolution to AUMA. Just to refresh your memory, that is a resolution which has reference to some of that linear funding, trying to access in a fair and equitable fashion those linear tax dollars that sit in. They don't collect dust, they make a whole lot of interest for the county where they're sitting. So can I have a motion to accept that recommendation from Committee of the Whole regarding the Coldale resolution for AUMA.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Edmonds so moves. Any discussion on that motion, Council? I will call that question all in favor. That motion carries. Thank you. Now, the final motion under 7A is in regard to bylaw 1619, the emergency management bylaw. If you recall from our discussion, and this again is being recommended from the Committee of the Whole, it is simply a bylaw which in essence would mirror what's an existing piece of provincial legislation. And we need to get a motion on it. Councillor Kronen so moves. Okay, thank you. The chair will honor any, acknowledge any comments or questions made.
Can we just clarify, I apologize, Graham's new to minute taking, can we just clarify what those motions are instead of just...
wrote down names and figured out.
Yeah, so that it's appropriately...
And thank you, Marian. I can be just a little less expeditious on these things.
Okay, so it's to approve, to move first reading of bylaw 1619, I
Yep,
believe that is.
1619. 1619.
Thank you, Councillor, I apologize for that.
No, your comments are well taken, Marian. Thank you very much. We probably, and in all fairness to Graham, we've probably been a little spoiled over the past few months with Tara and Jill. They're very, very astute and capable at that job, and I'm sure Graham will get there sooner rather than later, so we need to cut him a little slack.
It's also appropriate, I think, for the record for the public, that the public understands what motions you're putting forward.
Yeah, so the motion is the emergency, let me see.
Measures Act.
Emergency Management Bylaw, 1619,
And
that's the way it's
it
called.
references procedures, et cetera, and measures that would be put in place
In case of an
in
emergency.
case of a state of local emergency declared. And so the legislation, if this one is passed, would mirror provincial legislation that's in existence right now. The point that I think is important for us to remember, Council, is I think we want to retain local control. And I think that's something that we do by having this bylaw. I do believe that the provincial disaster management people would still rely in large measure on local people. And so I don't necessarily share the fears that some have expressed in the past. So any comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the motion of first reading on this bylaw. Now, we can do them all tonight, unless I see some no, let's not do them all tonight.
Personally,
Let's do second reading.
Almost second reading.
Okay, Councillor Smith moves second reading. Any discussions on second reading? I will call that motion. All in favor? Permission to move to third reading. Councillor Dahl moves permission for third reading. This has to be unanimous.
Yeah, let me just think about that for a minute.
Okay.
I've got no real problem with the changes in the bylaw. I've been kind of weighing this in my mind whether the public deserves an extra week to see it, see that we're passing it, and it doesn't really materially change the bylaw. It basically, like you said, it's there. Just because there has been interest in the bylaw in the past, that's kind of my hesitation there on it. I mean, it's going to be good to go next time, I think.
Okay, Councillor.
I am somewhat of the same opinion. I think for the sake of transparency and allowing the public to react to that, I'm sure they're going to be favorable. I have no fears that there would not be. But just to make sure that we have given them a chance to reply or to come and share some opinion or whatever, I think it's good to give them time.
Okay, so can I just ask administration, has the town office fielded any phone calls from last week's Committee of the Whole?
No, we have not.
Okay, all right.
There may not be any. comment.
Yeah, once we post the minute, or post that, it might generate some interest. If not, we're good to pass it next time around.
It's not a major change, it's basically a change in the title of the bylaw and some of the wording in it.
The
Well,
wording was the issue.
But let's remember that it mirrors current provincial legislation, that's all I wanted
Which
to
is-
say.
The provincial asked to advise council. The term was, instead of force or to enforce, it's advise.
But
And
let's,
the term advise doesn't mean that we take away our powers.
but let's remember, the province still retains the right to do something that we may not agree.
No, but we totally understand. An emergency is such a different type of situation, and you have to have the right powers in place in order to rule
Exactly.
and help to fix an emergency when you need it, with the people, the material, whatever you need.
And I'm not sure that soft and gentle words are going to be effective for people who are unreasonable. The 96% of the people in the community are going to be reasonable. We
But I
know.
believe that this bylaw is well written, and Marian, thank you for the amendment. I think it's well done. Thank you.
Okay, so I will call the question. It has been moved by Councillor Dahl that we allow for third reading. And this must be unanimous for anyone who's looking in on Channel 32. All in favor of the motion to allow third reading? All in favor of the motion to allow third reading? All opposed? Motion fails. Okay, so we'll do third reading at a subsequent council meeting. Okay, so now we move into this issue of the sanitary sewer trunk main funding. There was a little glitch, and Marian will speak to it, if you would please, Marian.
Yes, I apologize. This came to light during the audit process because any changes to budget that are approved by council are reviewed by the auditor. And in January, we had noticed that there was a mistake in the November minutes, or the October minutes, sorry. Let me just look at the dates on this.
It was the amount.
November minutes. And so we put in, council put a new motion forward to correct that wording, but the new motion that was put forward said that the change was the $96,931 was to come from the sewer debenture reserve, but the correct wording should have been from the capitalization policy, 2012 unfunded capitalization policy. So what I'm recommending tonight is that we rescind motion 13-1 and put the correct motion forward, which is $79,729 from the sewer debenture reserve, $69,366 from the capitalization policy reserve, and $96,931 from the 2012 capitalization policy unexpended funds. It does not change the amount that was spent, it only defined the correct funding source for that project. And I apologize to council that wording was missed when we approved those minutes.
Okay, Councillor Kronen moves that we rescind motion 12-126. Any discussion on that one? I will call a question. All in favor? Motion carries to rescind motion 12-126. Now, do we want to give our recorder,
I think that was
13-1.
Sorry.
13-1.
13-1.
Motion 13-1.
okay, so let me restate that. The motion was to rescind 13-1, sorry. The motion is to rescind 13-1, and we'll give, okay. Now,
You need another
we
motion.
need a new motion. Marian, do you want to get that new, you've got the wording of the new motion? He's working
This
wonders
is
already.
right here, it's in front of us. here.
Okay. Well, it is right here.
I'll make that
So,
motion.
Councillor Court so moves. Any discussion on that new motion? Okay.
No, we got it right this time.
He's got it in front of
I
me.
hope
Yeah,
so.
you got it.
I had Noel look them over too, just in case before I put them in the minutes.
We'll
Okay.
triple check before we approve.
Yeah, we should.
Okay, so I will call for a vote on that one. All in favor? Councillor Dahl, are you with us or?
No.
Okay, so that motion carries, so we're good to go. Next item is the financial report for February 2013. And we'll need a motion on that one.
Also move.
Councillor Dahl so moves. Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any discussion on the motion by Councillor Dahl to approve the financial report of February 2013?
I have a comment. In talking with our administration, our report for April will have budgeted information for the period and expenses and income for the period. So this is an interim situation. When we get the stuff cut up together, we'll get a full financial statement.
Yeah.
It's
the-
going to take a little while.
Yeah, if I might just speak to that, with the audit and the final budget being approved for the May setting of the mill rate, the budget has not been broken down into the monthly budget yet. So once that final budget is approved, then we will break it down into the monthly budget. That's why it shows full budget and budget at this point.
On a lighter note, I hope we're not putting the folks to sleep that are watching this on Channel 32. Short of having a dog and pony show, I don't know what we do to make sure people stay awake through this.
Mayor Scott, can I just ask a question of administration?
You can, please
Thank
ask
you.
away.
Marian, under revenue, under the pool, you have 54,000. I was trying to figure out where there's a grant that we had. Oh, maybe I'm looking at the fiscal year, yeah, the income statement. I just wanted to know the grant that was just granted to us, the $240,000. Whereabouts is that going to be recorded in there?
It will be recorded under grants.
So,
Conditional grants is where it would be recorded.
conditional grants, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Under our revenue, Marian, you have penalties and cost of taxes. What is cost of taxes? That's on the second page of the first item.
Penalties and costs of taxes would be, sorry, that's just the wording of that, but it would be penalties
Interest.
related to taxes or caveats that we may register, that would all go under that revenue source.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I will call the question. Councillor Dow has moved approval of the financial report dated February 2013. All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you very much. So we're moving into committee and other reports. Item A is the town council motion list. Does anyone have any concerns that they'd like to inquire regarding the motion list? Okay. Number 10B, you'll notice the bylaw animal control enforcement report for March. It's there. Any questions or concerns regarding that? Marian?
I just wanted to let council know that the Southern Alberta Traffic Safety Group is now in the process of hosting those bike rodeos. So Lloyd has been in other communities and they will be in our community shortly. So that's kind of the big thing that he's doing right now.
Do we know when? Do we have a date?
It's on the calendar, we'll check it out, yeah.
Okay.
Just a comment, Marian. I'm concerned, a lot of times over the winter, some of our pet problems are covered up until the snow melts. I've got some concerns there, and I've been approached by a citizen with some very serious concerns. And as I spoke with him, I said, now, I can go to administration and to bylaw control because it's his neighbor's dog that's causing the problem. And of course, the problem surfaces in a very ugly fashion once the snow melts. So I don't know whether anybody else from council is hearing similar complaints from your neighbors or your constituents. Marian?
Just to that, Mayor, I would suggest that if you get those types of calls, please ask the citizens to call into the office.
Yeah, I think so.
Lloyd doesn't drive up and down the streets and look for leftovers on people's lawns. So unless we're made aware of it, we can't deal with it.
No, and I appreciate that.
So I would just suggest have them call into the office and we'll deal with it. The
Oh.
bike rodeo here is April 17th and 18th.
Thank you.
The problem that this one constituent mentioned to me was, here it is, his next door neighbor. And, you know, we have to appreciate that everybody wants to live with, you know, peaceful coexistence, amicably with their neighbors, but not all folks in the community are responsible pet owners. So I just thought I'd bring that up, and just in case anyone else is hearing similar concerns. Councillor Kronen?
Would it be possible sometime for us, even when that happens, to maybe suggest as a best first line of defense is to really go to the neighbor in a non-confrontational manner and try to see if the matter can be settled without having everybody else in the town involved? Wouldn't that be the best first line of defense?
He's done that at least twice.
And so at that point, it becomes a matter of the peace officer to kind of try to mitigate the
He
problem.
said to me, I said, do you want to go to the administration, or do you want me to go to the administration? He said, give me one more shot at it. So that's kind of where it's at. So, Councillor
Yeah,
Edmonds.
I think that's probably the best way.
Can I ask what they do with gophers after they pick them up?
Do you really want to know?
Well, we could be selling them to Japan for $325 as pets.
What?
In Japan, they take them as pets.
Well, I've been wondering what I was gonna do when I retire, now I know.
$325 paid per gopher.
Well, maybe that's the next industry of Cardston.
Could be.
There's
All right,
never any
so-
supply anyhow.
So let's get into committee reports, and we want to make sure that we are attending our committee meetings and reporting back. So if, for example, the Ag Society did not meet, feel free to mention that committee did not meet. So let's start with the Ag Society report.
I think they have two issues right now, significant issues, I believe there. One of them is their insurance has gone from $6,000 a year to $16,000 a year, which is substantial. I believe they're going through the town's insurance company, so I think Mr. Nish has talked to Marian about that, and I think they're trying to get a quote from a different insurance company to see if they can lessen that cost a bit there. And I think because of the nature of their business and the liability that that can't pertain to that facility there, that's a significant jump for them. So
Do we know if that's hail related?
no, it's
The
like liability.
portion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because of the
Yeah.
nature of the
I'm sorry,
activities
yeah.
that they undertake, the liability portion has
That
jumped
is a
substantially.
huge jump, huge jump. And the other item of concern?
Because of the hail, they went and had some repairs on the roof there. I guess once they got inside the roof, they found out that there was some further damage underneath the roof. So now before replacing the roof, they probably are gonna have to fix underneath that, and we're not sure. Marian probably might be able to shed more light on that there.
Yeah, we've met with the Ag Society representatives, and we're looking at, what it is there's a problem with the rafters. It's not hail related, but it needs to be repaired before we put a new roof on. So we're working with them to look at where we can find funding to get those repairs done so the roof can be repaired as well.
Marian, because that's a town-owned facility, have we had the discussion, and maybe Councillor Smith, you know this as well, have we as a town had the discussion with the folks on the Ag Board regarding the long-term viability of the facilities up there? I'm just kind of curious how we have that.
I haven't been in any discussions at all in any of the meetings pertaining to that, but unless
When I was on that board, there was some informal discussions about that. They would like to get a new building, that they could figure out the funding on it. Because this is, I don't know how long that building's been there, but it's been there for a long time. And so just informally, we're actually discussing that a bit when I was on that board, but I don't think it's going anything past informal discussion.
Have they ever thought of
Yes.
putting a business plan forward?
Oh, I don't know about that part. I guess
No,
it's-
but that's what I mean, you know, if they were to put a business plan forward with possibility, whichever there may be.
So that question may be best directed to Councillor Smith. Maybe you could have,
I mean, I haven't discussed it with them at all, I mean, and nor have I heard any discussion, so I mean, I can bring it up and see where that discussion leads to. or
I mean, I don't want to give them any false hope, but I know in not too long ago, the concept was floated out there, and of course, it's all a question of dollars, that maybe we, again, it is our facility, maybe that facility could in the future be relocated out in the vicinity of the academy, the Western Academy, Rodeo Academy, and there could be some shared benefits out there, but that's sort of something that maybe isn't front burner stuff at this point in time.
Well, I mean, and maybe that's, maybe what might bring it to the front is, you know, figure out if they want to make all these repairs, or, you know, if they might want to take a different route to it.
But for that, I need a long-term business plan.
Right.
Without that, there's no sense talking.
So let me just ask, is administration or is council interested in having some sort of a long-term business plan worked on maybe over the next 6 months? Or is that going somewhere where we don't need to go, Marian?
Yeah, I would suggest that that would be a board decision
Yeah, I think
if
so.
they choose to move.
Yeah.
Now, we are aware that there has been some ongoing discussion,
Okay.
but that should be discussed at their board level.
No, and I agree with
That's what I
that. I'm
think
just
so.
saying, is
I
it
think-
something council wants to sort of give them a gentle nudge to come up with that business plan, as Councillor Kronen has mentioned?
Well,
So-
and it might, depending on, you know, how much it costs to repair the roof, or, and where, I mean, if the town decides not to fund the repairs of that,
It's
then.
only about $16,000,
Oh, is it?
so it's
Oh,
nothing,
okay,
it's
so it's
nothing
not-
nothing
significant.
500,000.
It's just a matter of what funds can we
Oh,
put
okay.
together to make it happen.
But in the meantime, it doesn't hurt, as Councillor Cronin has wisely suggested, the long-term business plan maybe can be something that they could maybe have ready for a new council in 10 months or something.
Well, I think if they're not putting on a burner right now, maybe we're not.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. The airport, I think that's yours as well.
No, actually, it's mine.
Oh, sorry.
But, yeah, we discussed a little bit about trying to get the county on board with that. I understand that it's between the administrators now to make recommendations there, so we'll leave that where it is. The fly-in, June 15th, is from 8 to 11. I mentioned that previously. They would like to invite our councillors to come out and serve breakfast, and maybe as we get a little closer, I'll see if we can get commitments to people that
When
might
would
go
it
out.
be?
Pardon?
When would
June
it-
15th.
What day of the week is that?
That's a
It's
Saturday.
always a Saturday?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
We have an active group. They participate in fly-ins in other areas in the
I'll be
province,
there.
and
Hopefully they have
Breakfast.
some better weather this year, so.
hopefully,
Yeah, last year
hopefully
was
they will.
pretty down awful.
What time in the morning?
It'll be from 8 till 11. And maybe we can get some county councillors out there to help serve breakfast too.
Good idea,
By that
good
time.
idea. Okay, so we move to Councillor, so in the meantime, if all council would note that in your planners,
Yeah, well,
so that those that can be available, maybe we can assist in that, and maybe we can get some county support as well. South Girl.
We had a meeting, we had a general planning meeting recently, and the object of the general planning meeting was to get as many CEOs and council rep from the 22 towns and villages to be present to try to redefine what they would like to see South Road do for them. That was something that was an interesting meeting. The overall direction seems to be that now that we know that there is water in this part of the province, and that the myth has been dispelled that we're not open to business because there is no water, that now we need to kind of go beyond our borders and start to market ourselves as an area that has agricultural possibilities, agricultural added value possibilities, and to try to seek for more business to come in this region. So that's a little bit of what came out of that meeting. We are now kind of reviewing all the information given and trying to put a business plan together and a request for a proposal to move Southgrove in a different direction possibly.
I just have a question for you, Councillor. I don't know if it's a coincidence or by appointment, but a member of Lethbridge City Council, Bridget Mearns, that's Bridget Pastor's daughter, and of course Bridget Pastor is in MLA. Her daughter, a member of Lethbridge City Council, is on the exhibition board and has presented their business plan for redevelopment, enhancement to Mayors and Reeves, and their plan is in the neighborhood of $90 million. Has that presentation come before Southgrove?
No.
That might be something that you want to maybe take note of and ask to see it. It's a very ambitious plan, very progressive plan, but they've made a good case for the fact that it's a very needed plan because they feel Lethbridge is missing out on many conventions. It has impact for the airport, and I believe the Reeve of the county is well aware of that as well. Yeah. So it's a multifaceted situation once you get talking about what you want what we'd like Southgrove to do and what various components of the area.
The unfortunate thing, Mayor, is that Lethbridge chose to leave Southgrove to distance themselves because they have the economic board, and we try to re-engage them. And in that study, we will re-engage them because we are very aware that as a big town, they become an anchor to the south of Alberta and will benefit as much as we would benefit. We kind of need that symbiosis to work to the benefit of both organizations.
Point well taken. I would be surprised if the exhibition wouldn't be delighted to be able to come and present to Southgrove. I can't speak for Bridget, I haven't spoken to her personally.
Well, I will bring that back to the executive meeting on Friday.
That might be just a little bit of a wedge or a backdoor to get some more support from City Council. If,
we just hope that maybe the next election would allow for
some change.
Different relationships.
Thank you, Councillor. Back over to Communities in Bloom.
Communities in Bloom. We're meeting this Thursday. Other than that, I can just tell you that we're moving ahead with our Main Street beautification project with our rubber mats around the trees and the planters for the trees. That's going ahead.
Speaking as a business person, Councillor, if you'd like to take my support, and I will pursue my financial commitment for those mats and so forth, so if you'll take that back.
All right, well, yeah, we were asking for business, donations for...
That letter is on my desk, and I just need to make out that check. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much.
And give those folks on the Communities in Bloom, I think I would speak for Council in giving them recommendations, because I think we all take a lot of pride and satisfaction in the beautification, and a lot of effort goes into that. And I think it's not just at Heritage Weekend time, it's all summer or at any time. But I think as we all ride in the parade, I think we take a lot of satisfaction and pride in how great a job people do, from our Parks and Recreation people to Communities in Bloom folks. And there's a lot of work goes into that. So thank you very much, Councillor. Back over to Chief Mountain Solid Waste Authority, Councillor Kronen.
All right. The last meeting I could not attend because I was at that Southgrove meeting, but Councillor Tweed attended, and that day they were to approve the budget and requisition. And I had given Councillor Tweed some information given to me by Noel regarding the increases over the past 5 years. And I was concerned that they were trying to levy another 5.1% this year, and felt that it was absolutely crazy to have been hit with 23% increase in 4 years, 5 years. And so I asked him to really voice our discontent regarding that. Obviously, it became very useful information that you presented, because on the whole, that brought down that percentage of increase from 5.1% to 3.55%, so which lower our acquisition for this year. So thank you for having done that on my behalf. You had the right information, and you raised awareness that was greatly needed at that table, because I was sure if you hadn't had that, I would have said yay again. So
Thank you, Councillor, both of you, thank you for good work. This comes back for me to a heightened need for this best practices study.
I'm
Because
presenting it tomorrow night.
the best practices study goes to the efficiencies
Yes.
of solid waste handling and solid waste management from curb to landfill, at whatever phase efficiencies can be achieved.
And to tell you the truth, I'm a little tired every time I go there to hear that the trucking cost increase is due because of Cardston's hailstone, and I'm thinking, there'll come a time when that has to come to an end.
Yeah, I think it goes to our point, Councillor, that there is absolutely no harm in a study that would hopefully arrive at increased efficiencies and better handling practices. And I would hope that no one who's employed by that board would feel threatened by a best practices study.
Well, I think the way it will be presented is non-threatening, is to allow facts to be revealed and to try to see what we can do better.
Thank you very much. Chinook Foundation.
We meet on Monday.
Okay.
I won't be there, so if anybody would like to drive to McGrath with
They have finalized the purchase of that property adjacent to the existing property
In McGrath.
and in McGrath. And they're also finalizing the purchase of some exercise and playground equipment. And evidently the people that are buying it from is not particularly financially sound, so we're going to have to buy the rest of our material from somebody else. We got some money withheld that they can cover that with.
So we had the audit last month, and it looks, we're on a pretty good financial footing.
Yeah, they're in an excellent financial position, money to spend.
Well, that doesn't mean you necessarily need to spend it, but that's good. Thank you, councillors, for that. EDT, Economic Development and Tourism.
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend that. I was out of town for that there. But I know that Shaw's been in and around the community, and they set up a real good networking system, top of the line for Cardston here, and they're offering 25 businesses within the town at this point in time, free Wi-Fi, internet connection services if you're a Shaw customer or whatever. So they'll come in and install that in your business for free, and I think that'd be a real good thing for some of the small or some of the businesses in town here to offer that service. So.
Speaking as a businessman now, I contacted Shaw this morning, and there's a strong possibility that we could become a Shaw customer sooner rather than later. Okay. Did you happen to did they meet? Have you seen a copy of their minutes?
No, I haven't received anything on that there. I seen they sent out a survey for senior housing and things like that, so I don't know whatever became of that or whatever happened.
We did go to the senior center, and we presented with Jeff, and at that meeting we left surveys. And by the way, I got a comment today from a senior citizen that told me it was an excellent survey, so there you go. And that felt it was very needed, and the senior housing for people who are trying to downsize but are not ready for the lodge, for the Chinook or for Leecrest, that is a type of housing they're looking for to finish their days comfortably. In something that they don't need to repair every time they turn around. They want something new something without any care. And so maybe we'll go somewhere. I don't know if you got some response to.
20 back, I think, now.
Okay, well then maybe we need to let senior center know
There's a
that,
few more over there too, I think. I gotta look at
okay. But it was an interesting way to engage the seniors.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kronen. Fire Department. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I noticed that there is a number of empty, I don't know, condominiums, that's what you want to call them, in the various seniors complexes. Are they looking for something a little less pricey? Is that the idea?
Yes. A little bit more affordable so that when I downsize, I can finish life with whatever the cash in between.
One of the problems that lots of these folks face that want to downsize, their ability to do so is entirely contingent upon the sale of their existing residence. That's a problem that's really a serious catch-22. So,
Which behooves us to market ourselves, to find a way to market ourselves. And that's another discussion for another day.
Let's back up one stage. Before the sale of the residence is the cleaning out of the residence and getting rid of 50 years of collection that nobody wants.
You should be
well,
able to.
yeah,
Good luck with that.
been there, done that. Okay, so now, Fire Department.
Okay, fire department. I think the one thing that we should probably bring to your attention is our contract with our fire chief. In the past, when AHS took over the ambulance part, and because our fire chief was an employee of AHS, they contracted a fire chief to our town. Because of the way they've dealt with our fire chief, it no longer made sense to have them have us contract through AHS. And Danny has felt that if we just contract with him or hire him directly, it would be more appropriate. He gave us a suggested contract, and we've given that to both the town and the county administration to look at that, to tweak it, and to try to finalize that so that we can contract with our fire chief directly. And I think that will be an improvement.
Can
They
you-
have, yeah, if you'd like to comment
Can
on
you
that.
talk about the cost saving?
Yeah, it should cost
The
savings.
portion was $50,000 when it was under the AHS. What our fire chief is suggesting is a $30,000 contract yearly with no benefits, because he gets his benefits from AHS.
Now, not entirely relevant, but probably good information for all of us to know, I would think, is he continues to be able to
Okay,
be a first responder on the
Right.
health side, right?
yeah, now, do you want to talk to that in
Well,
terms of his
Yeah, they've
employment
changed his,
schedule?
they used to have him as kind of an administrator, but they've basically put him as the same as every other, as 4 days on and 4 days off.
EMT.
And so he fulfills that, but he feels that with the time that he has, that he's not, involved in the as a responder in the health service, he can certainly fulfill the responsibilities as fire chief.
What he was telling us, that in fact is no different from what's happening right now. In fact, he's saying that right now he has less time as fire chief than what he would be able to give us later. So then we realize it will be more for less money.
Yeah, it will be a good advantage to us.
So keep us posted on that. I'm sure administration is totally apprised of where that situation
Yes,
is at.
we do.
Thank you very much, Councillor Creed. Any questions regarding that fire service? Okay, let's go to FCSS.
Our last meeting was canceled because we didn't have enough people for a quorum.
Whoa. That's not good.
Councillor Edmonds, do you have any issues or concerns that are ongoing that might be worth bringing to the table, or nothing to speak of?
I don't think there's any concerns right now, it's just that we need to get people more enthused about attending the meetings, or at least letting us know.
Yeah, for sure. That's, yeah, that's a concern. Handy bus.
Last meeting was the annual meeting for the handy bus there. There's a full house of 5 people there. And they did that, and then I guess handy bus, the new handy bus that they ordered is supposed to be coming, which is very nice and exciting for them, so.
What are they going to do with the Euro
They're
fund?
gonna hang on to it for now until they only get they're only getting a small amount for a trade-in value, so they wanna hold on to it because they figure it's worth more than that, so they're gonna.
As a backup,
That's the backup.
salvage for parts, no. just kidding.
Could be.
Not a big issue, but I wouldn't mind, Councillor Smith, like, when do you expect that handy bus group will meet again?
He said that they'd get a hold of me when they're gonna
Okay.
meet again there,
I
so.
just have a small concern that probably shouldn't come to the council table because it is personal, as in regarding my mother. So I'll just maybe
Okay.
talk to you about that.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so now we go to Historical Society.
The Historical Society has a new president, and we didn't get any new volunteers at the annual meeting, which was just...
No, you got 2. You got Councillor Creed and myself.
Oh, they didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, they enrolled us, enlisted us.
That's even better. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
And we helped out at the Home and Garden Show and learned a few things. I think next time that we're in something like that, we need to have something to give away.
Yeah.
People, as they're going through the different venues there, they say, well, look, if you don't have a giveaway, then they just say hi. And we talked to a lot of people, but they didn't stop, so. I think
Jeff
we
has
need to have-
plenty of those goodies.
That, I'm sure that was quite frustrating.
Yeah, like we talked to a lot of people, and most of the people we talked to knew about the Mormon Trail, which was mainly what we were pushing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of disappointing that more people didn't stop. I found that most people are very interested about the Mormon religion, and we answered quite a few questions about the church, and why don't we have crosses on the buildings and things like that. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
so
It would have been
think it's-
interesting to have those rings that they do at the Remington Center.
Mhm. So,
No, they are the wedding rings, they're made out of nails.
Oh, nails, yes. Good idea. Okay,
Horseshoe name.
now the Intermunicipal Development Plan Committee meeting was held just a week ago, and it was a very interesting meeting, as Marian and Councillor Court will back me up on, because number one is the folks that sort of haven't done anything on it, and that's not us because we've approved it, basically made it very clear they did not want it to be an election issue. So it just gets taken back off the front burner and put on the back burner.
The linear tax system?
No, it's an issue regarding the plan, the intermunicipal plan between ourselves and the county. And so that one gets put on the front burner in a few months after the election with new councils. They did not want it to be, and there become an election issue primarily because it got to be quite a volatile issue between McGrath and the county. Now, I have to tell you this, I have to commend Marian, she was quite careful in what she said, but she also came up with an amazing suggestion, which I think has got a lot of merit, as this, well, first of all, they questioned, well, why do we need a new one? Well, very clearly, because the old one is absolutely not even being adhered to, and it's sort of become not worth the paper.
Oh, okay. With a number of people sitting on a board and all that story.
No, it has to do with things like some taxes are mentioned, and we've gone ahead and done an MOU on water, and so there's a lot of reasons why it's an obsolete document. but they did not want to get into that exercise of arriving at a new document until after the election. Now, a couple other things that came up, there were some FCSS concerns. They were asking some questions about FCSS, and so here's where it stands. The two administrators are going to have some dialogue back and forth, and one of the things that the two administrators were given direction on from this board was shared services to arrive at cost savings, operational cost savings. And I remember having said these words, Marian, and of course their administrator was there, put everything on the table. You know, anything that's at all reasonable in terms of shared services should be put on that discussion to come back to us with the report. When is that going to come back, in 30 days or so?
June. So 30 days or so, yeah. Our first meeting is next week.
Okay, so basically the goal here is cost savings through shared services. And I think it's got a lot of potential, but it's also not going to be an easy, because it's such a moving target. You know, how do you pay for this, or how do they do that for us, and what's the cost? An example of a good shared services agreement is up in my end of town, Leonard and the electrical folks were up there the last little while, completing what are we actually calling it, Marian?
25 kV.
The KVA, 25 KVA, because the school needs it. And as you're probably well aware, we have an agreement with Fort McLeod. And so one of the days I was up there just driving by, and I saw Fort McLeod with their bucket truck and their operator here helping us in that process. Now, they'll give us a bill for that, but then they'll call us maybe in a month or 2 or 3, or maybe never, but they'll call us back and say, hey, can you come with Cardston bucket truck and an operator? So we share some services with Fort McLeod, the town of Fort McLeod. So we've basically given direction to the to the administrator of the county and with Marian to meet together, and anything that they can think of that's reasonable, has some potential, come back and we need to talk about cost savings through shared services. Some of the discussion that's going to be involved will surround, we'll talk about the airport, because in my discussions with Leonard, I don't think there's even one airplane owner that lives in town. There was one.
Leonard.
But no, he doesn't own a plane.
Oh, okay.
He just has access.
He will.
No, we do have 2 that are in town owners.
Because in
Our last indication.
Because see, in my discussion with Leonard about a month ago, and then,
But they're mostly county.
and they're mostly county, so hopefully, anyway, so that's kind of a wrap up. Tim, anything else that you recall from that?
No, they just have some concerns about the 2 small communities out there, and they would, so that's one of the reasons they would like to look at some kind of services as well.
Glenwood and those.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and-
the cuts that have come to,
Leather Irrigation District.
I attended the Levitt Irrigation Annual Meeting and the Etna Irrigation Annual Meeting. Levitt's got a major problem. They've got to get more ditch into pipe. And that's going to cut off some of the farmers, because the ditch follows the contours of the land and they can move water that way, but pipe will be straight and some people may not be on water. So that's going to cause a problem. Etna, on the other hand, is basically in pipe now. And so they're saving water by seepage and by evaporation, and which is a help.
It's cleaner water.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And so, and they're
Conservation.
both financially sound.
Okay, very good, thank you.
That's-
We're in ongoing discussions with, especially Levitt, on some of the things for us right now. Okay. Library?
They didn't have a meeting as they had their general annual meeting prior to that, so they decided to cancel the meeting for this month, for last month.
Just as a curious question, has any member of council used the services of the current library here in Cardston, say in the last month? Has anybody used the library in the last month?
But
I use it a fair bit, mostly for movie rental and things like that, but I'm in there a fair bit. So I think the library is very well run. So Donna does a good job, and maybe we should send back to the board that I believe our head librarian does an excellent job, and they're extremely cordial and does a great job for the community. So municipal subdivision development
We're
folder.
actually having a meeting Thursday. There hasn't been much going on over the winter. I believe there's 3 things on the table on Thursday, I think.
can I ask you something, Councillor? Last meeting, we heard you say that you were quite dismayed about the increase that they kind of voted themselves, 3%.
Well, you're talking about
The
Orsk.
Orsk. Oh, we're not there yet?
No, but
That's
that's part of
part of this.
part of
Okay,
it.
all right. So if we talk about Orsk, I had the feeling that you had not been there at that
I
meeting,
missed that meeting, yes, that's correct.
but you were there in December
Yes.
2012.
Yes.
And that was when they approved that budget.
I don't remember the 3% in 2012.
Yeah, they approved it. I read the minute of December 2012, was totally confused, to tell you the
I'm
truth.
gonna have to look at that.
Because
Coming up.
on December 2012, it shows that the town of Cardston had a representative, and
I was
it
there.
names you. And the budget was presented, the 3% was presented, and in fact, part of those minutes says that the councillor will no longer have nor the per diem,
Mhm.
nor the mileage
Correct.
covered. So all that was voted and all that was approved, so
Much
I
of
don't
that
know, I was
discussion
a
in
little bit
December, and I don't know how
confused.
they slipped that 3% by me and everybody else, because everybody else I talked to, it was a bit of a surprise in the last meeting for them. But much of the discussion had to do with the per diems and passing that on to the council. So if that was part of the whole general budget, I thought they
maybe you
voted-
want to review the
I thought they
minute,
voted, I've got the minutes on my iPad,
Yeah.
actually, got them.
because I was confused, to tell you the truth,
Yeah.
because
The vote on the 3%.
From what you discussed, it gave me the feeling that the budget was approved, the meeting that you were not at last month.
What I understand, and I got the minutes of that was voted on that particular meeting in March, so I don't know why they'd be voting on it in December too.
It was voted,
take a look
it
at
was
my-
carried. It shows motion
Okay.
carried, budget carried. So I was not so sure. I was confused,
I'll
tell
have to
you
go
the
back
truth.
and
I
look at my
wanted
notes
you,
on that one,
okay,
so. I
thanks.
don't remember them asking for 3% in December, I'd have to go back and
Yeah,
check that.
it's what it says. It shows carried.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong from what you've done in Councillor Court, is that was a motion or a suggestion included, the 3% by that executive committee?
Well, as I read mine, and honestly, I missed the March meeting, so I talked to the representative from McGrath, and his indication was that it was passed by the executive, but it had to have been passed by the general board
No,
too.
it was passed by the
I
general
read back
board.
and read that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
So-
was. So
But I
I
don't
don't know,
remember
maybe it was not presented in a proper manner,
I don't
or
remember them presenting
something
any
was
kind of
not
an
quite
increase in
right.
December, but I do
Yeah.
with the March, so I'll have to go back and compare the two.
Yeah,
See what
you
they're
may want to look at
Yeah.
it, because I thought something is wrong there.
Yeah.
Because on the same minute, it gives the town requisition,
Yeah,
and it gives also what councillor were paid, they were at that meeting, and all that was carried by motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just was curious to think, why such discrepancy?
I don't know, I must have missed the 3% somewhere in there. Must have been about the time they brought the Chinese food out or something, I'm not sure.
So, yeah.
Everything else I remember, but I don't remember the 3% being under December, so.
Now, I just wondered if
Yeah.
you, as a councillor, had a voice to
Oh, we all
say,
can-
you know,
oh,
we
absolutely.
frustrated with your increase. I just wondered if you had the chance, as councillor, that were there. I mean, the majority might have approved it regardless of your voice.
You know,
But I wondered if you voiced your opinion for the town.
Yes, and in that December one, Raymond McGrath and us, and I believe Sterling, did not vote for that budget. I don't think they record who voted, who didn't, it's just a
No,
general
that's
vote.
just a carry.
And so we did not vote for that requisition, that budget, so.
Councillor, what would you say is the typical attendance at our meeting?
Quite
It's
bad.
pretty good. I mean, we're talking
In December,
40-something towns, and usually there's probably 30 or 35 reps there.
in December you had 21.
I really struggle with this.
Weather was bad that.
Yeah, you had
I really struggle with this idea that an organization can run hundreds of thousands of dollars in deficit, and number one, they increase our requisition, and some of those requisitions, as in Sterling, was just huge.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that was a catch-up against Sterling, I don't know. But the second thing is, in the next breath, they vote themselves a 3% or approve a 3% increase. And like I've said before, 1% might be tolerable, but when an organization is operating at that loss level, I just can't see a 3% being tolerable.
We have options if we're not happy with them, and I've had this discussion with the other towns that are around here. We don't have to be members of ORSC, but I don't believe we can do the GIS and
No.
everything else, the planning as cheap as they do it. So we're kind of hung here, because we
No.
really can't
You wouldn't have
leave
the
them.
technology
You
in
know.
place.
And I agree, I'm not suggesting that we would go, run our own show when it comes to planning, because there's no question that the economies of scale favor that consortium of the 40 or however many communities.
Yeah.
But my question runs to the management
Yeah,
and giving their employees an increase when that organization is running a deficit, and then they pass along the increased requisitions on to the member municipalities.
But they increased also the wages of the planners.
well, I
And what
understand
was
that.
interesting those minutes is that they have two planners that are leaving the organization, although their contract was going up. I'm thinking, what's going on in that organization?
Found out
Is there
interesting,
is
too.
there
I
a
haven't been able to
problem?
answer this one, is they're actually giving themselves an increase, but their actual costs, the employment costs are going down, their wages going down, so maybe they're cutting staff, I don't know for sure,
But they're cutting staff.
so.
The other problem that I really think needs to be addressed is the preferential rate where the town of Brooks and county of Newell has their requisition capped.
Yeah, this has been discussed as well
And
among the
that
naysayers.
That, to me, is unacceptable. If you have an organization running that level of deficit, then the participation of those two communities becomes a liability if they're not paying their share. If they leave, so be it. My understanding is also that those two communities, and I believe this is accurate because, this is something I've heard from other members, that their demands in the upcoming year for services, well, in the current year for services from ORSC, are just going that direction in a big way.
I'd have to check on that to see.
Okay. Back to the local subdivision and development. Anything happening there, folks?
No, just, we meet Thursday finally, so.
Okay. Parks and Recreation, that's
Yep.
still yours?
Yeah, we haven't met for a while, but they're still, as I saw in the notes earlier, that they're still in discussion with the school division on the costs of
Joint use.
the joint use thing. So we meet again in May or June, I can't remember for sure when.
Can I ask maybe administration something? In your tabulation there of all the different tasks yet to be done or to be reviewed, there was at the bottom, normally we were supposed to get that done at the principals meeting on February 13th, and I wondered if something came out of there or if nothing came out of it.
We're just waiting for the school division to respond to us on that information. We haven't received.
So there is no response from them yet?
Randy has been tasked with finalizing
Yeah,
the agreement,
I
but
could see that.
that's kind of what's left, is
Mm.
determining that fee structure.
Thank you.
And we generally meet on a quarterly basis, so I'm not quite sure when the next meeting is.
I've got that, I've got that.
And regard, this one.
Somewhere. Right. Parks and Recreation is scheduled for 27th of May. 27th of May, Parks and Recreation meeting.
Also wondered if we have started to let the community know that there is no pool this summer. Have we done anything regarding that? The pool will not be open this summer?
We haven't awarded a contract yet, so we're not positive it is going to be closed.
All right, thank you.
And
That
should,
makes sense, but
The
I
word's
thought we
out,
had to
though.
spend the money by the end of the year.
Well, the intent is, yes, that it will be closed, but until the contract is awarded and we have timelines.
You cannot do
The
nothing.
communication, we have notified the swim club, and
It's been on
There-
Facebook, I've
yeah.
noticed that.
when does the tender period
we've had
close?
some correspondence and
Thanks.
release out to the public, but not
Thank you.
anything serious.
Marian, when does the tender period close?
It closed 2 weeks ago, they're just reviewing the proposals. They're actually looking at some alternative to new construction that came in as part of one of the proposals, so we're just investigating that right now,
Okay.
and how that would affect our grant funding.
Okay, this has absolutely nothing to do with Parks and Rec, but a faithful Facebook reader, my wife just sent this to me. She said, you better tell whoever put the notice on Facebook about the power outage that April 17th is not a Sunday. So which day is that power outage actually going to happen? Okay, so.
Graham.
We'll look at, it is this Sunday.
It is on Sunday.
Yeah.
The power outage will be this
We have to
Sunday.
do a changeover of a line down in line,
It's on the west side,
I guess in
right at
Walker
Lions
Field,
Park,
right
yeah.
in Lions Park.
on the west side, yeah. I
And
read
for
that in
that
the paper.
sanitary sewer trunk main that we're doing. And the only time that everything is coordinating appropriately for staffing and other resources is Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So that's when they'll be doing it.
Okay.
It'll be approximately 2 hours. So go to church early or sleep in, one of the two.
Church meeting at 6:30 in the morning, so
Okay,
power
so
about halfway through that.
I can report on the powwow committee. The powwow meeting was held just this week. And
Last week.
a week ago, I guess, it was a week ago. The committee is looking at the old format of a powwow with a grand entry on a Tuesday night, and then grand entries at 1 and 7 on Wednesday. So it'll be basically a day and a half. And
With no increased costs.
because what we do is, you took all of the powwow events and you just squished them into 2 grand entries on one day, and they felt like we'd get more money from the vendors, more money from the craft vendors and food vendors if we had it to be about a day and a half.
Well, one of the concerns we have as administration, they talk about no increased costs, but if we're doing 2 days, all of our rental fees double. So any tents, toilets, sound system, any of that is going to double in cost because we'll have to rent it for 2 days. So
Exactly
it's just
right.
something to keep in mind as you discuss this further as a powwow committee.
Okay.
Yes, and
Now-
there
There
also,
will be increased costs, no
Yes.
question.
well,
Can we maybe have, like our next powwow committee meeting is on April 17th, that's a Wednesday. And it might be a good idea if we could possibly have an idea of what those cost increases look like, with some specifics, like you say, porta potties.
Yeah,
and what-
shoot, that will be prepared for the meeting.
Yeah.
And what else is impacted by going the 2 days. Which I'm sure they do. Then we lose the advantage of being able to charge our vendors increased rentals to the vendors.
The other concern is the volunteer pool.
Yes,
Each year
we will
it becomes
come
more
to.
difficult to get volunteers, and if we're asking for 2 days, that could be an issue as well.
One of the things that we discussed about that is seeing if we can have maybe one of the stakes be involved in the cleanup the night of. And the takedown, another stake be involved in the setup for that to happen. So It's not gonna be just wide open, loosey-goosey, hey, can you come and volunteer? We'll tighten it up a little bit. We know that from the time the powwow starts until, and this is not, until the time it's over, or at least until time of cleanup and takedown, that there really only needs to be about 4 people there. There doesn't need to be 15 people or 18 people. 4 is usually enough. But you need 25 to 30 for the setup and 25 to 30 for the takedown and cleanup. Those are pretty good sized numbers. We do have some organizations that helped last year, organizations from the reserve. But I think what we're going to try to do is see if we can get participation from the 2 stakes and give them specific times. And those specific times will be a little bit more designated. If we go Tuesday night, we'll maybe want a few people to come from 5 to 10 or so, or 6 to 10. Probably 6 to 10, given that the grand entry will start about 7. There will be no cleanup on the first night. And again, that's assuming that we can go ahead and do the cleanup, do the 2.5 powwow. Then on day 2, with the grand entry at 1 o'clock, we'll just need half a dozen people, say from noon until 4, and then another half a dozen from 4 to 8, and then a bunch of people come to be prepared to do the cleanup and the takedown.
To add to Marian's concern regarding the revenue, it was kind of well understood that the registration would have to go up to $5 a person for the dancers. That's what they said. It's not a lot of money. And then they were going to bring up the rates for people to set up as vendors to represent 2 days being there to cover some of those increased rental costs we have. It's all working, we're not sure yet of how much revenues it would represent. It needs to be worked at yet.
There was also some discussion surrounding the possibility of taking those sections of chain link fence like the high school does for football games to cordon off the whole area. That way we could charge admission for that.
The same as the football.
I think the most important thing that has happened already is the letter has gone to Chief and Council from the Moses Lake segment of the committee requesting their funding, their $5,000.
Because Mayor, you said it clearly, no money, no power. That's what you said. And I think it's wise.
If we don't see their money sooner rather than later, then we may just go back to a Wednesday afternoon demonstration powwow within the budget that we now have. The other thing that we'll need to know, and we won't need to dwell on this because it's getting into nitty-gritty stuff, we'll need to know if the Lions Park, that area of the football field which was being redressed and reworked, is going to be available to us. It wasn't last year. So we want to know if it's going to be available this year, but that's on Graham's to-do list. So.
That'll be reported to the committee. That's details that the committee needs to.
And we can work on that. I think that's about it. I don't have anything further on the committee reports, especially the Councillor Edmonds.
You want to report on community futures?
Yes, you may.
That's what I wondered. Shouldn't we not
I'll
add that as a regular item?
I'm not used to you attending, Councillor. I apologize.
Okay. Well, we have lots of money, and we're looking for people that need financing that can't qualify for a loan from the bank. But if they can come up with the right proposition and background, we have money available up to $150,000 if they want to start a new company or a new enterprise. The rates are variable depending on your collateral. The more collateral you have, the lower the rate. We also have up to $10,000 that we will provide interest-free in conjunction with the town to fix up your business. So, the money is there and waiting. We have helped out one company in Cardston in the last 2 months, and we're looking for more.
Okay, good. Thank you, Councillor. And that will be, and Marian's assured us that will be on our list of committee reports for the next meeting. Let's move into correspondence. we have for municipal affairs an interpretation bulletin regarding the Local Authorities Election Act. The election for 2013 is on October 21st. And
Which means that registration, nomination has to be 1 month exactly before
Nomination
that.
day will be September 23rd.
September 20.
4 weeks prior.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Do we put a notice in the paper that we've gone from a 3-year term to a 4-year term?
There will be notices going out, yes.
Okay. Now, so some of the things that they want to clarify, because this Local Authorities Election Act was given legislative assent on December the 10th, 2012. Such things as they've referred to the term of office, which will be 4 years. Summer villages, they hold their elections in the summer. They're talking here about voter identification and eligibility. Do we want to have any input, or do we want to have any say on strengthening or the proof of identity, that the person's a current resident, et cetera, Those are things to discuss. And then the terms of the Election Act are right here in our package.
Mayor Schow, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I just want to know, we have a bylaw right now that stipulates what kind of identification is required.
No, we do not. We just follow the act. So the act currently says identification issued by the Canadian government, which contains photograph of the elector and their name and address, or identification that is authorized under the Election Act to establish an elector's name and current address, so government-issued ID, or any additional types of identification documents that are stipulated under the election.
Yeah, I was reading that, and I also was thinking, for all those people who are in the lodges or in area like Lee Crest who want to vote, how exactly is it established in this town for municipal election?
We just ask for government-issued ID. So it would be a driver's license, or if it doesn't have a picture, then it requires 2, which would be, say, a social insurance card and a Alberta health card or something. So government-issued ID.
We typically take their word for it that they've been
And in the
residents.
past, if I might, in the past, we haven't required ID, and the Act has not required ID for election. You just had to sign a declaration.
Yeah, you had to
You'll still
sign an
have to sign the
affidavit,
declaration, but now the Act requires ID.
Yes.
Yeah, we maintain a voter list, right, for the...
No, we do not.
We don't maintain
We do
a
not
voter
have a
list.
voters list.
Oh, okay.
No.
And that's not something we,
Well,
Will
there's a
have-
cost to establishing a voters list and keeping it current. So
right,
we have depended on the citizens to
provide it ID.
Well,
ID.
it was not required before, they just had to sign a declaration.
So we need to make sure that I understand I need ID this time around.
Oh, they always do.
No,
Yeah,
that didn't in the past.
No, I'm saying they know they have to have ID, don't they?
They
In
never
the
had
past,
to
I
in
did
the
not
past.
need to.
The Elections Act requires it now.
That is
So-
what is
so the
changed.
notice that's going to come out about the 4-year term, is that also going to tell people to
Well,
bring ID?
The government has been putting out notices as the Elections Act was changed. There was notices going out. But as part of our process for the local election, we will make sure that any changes to the voting procedure are distributed to the citizens as well.
Thank you.
The second piece from Municipal Affairs is talking about provide submissions for the 12th Annual
Mayor.
Ministers Award. Yes.
Can I just back up for 1
Sure.
second? I just have a couple of things that I'd like to discuss with council in regards to changes that you may want to consider for the 2013 election. Our current bylaws in place allow us to have institutional voting at the Grandview, the Cardston Hospital, the Chinook Lodge, and the Temple City Villa. We will need to amend that to include the Grandview is no longer the Grandview, so I'll have to amend that.
Change that to Lee Crest.
The other question is, do you want to allow for institutional voting in homes it takes quite a bit longer to be able to do that. We send 2 people out pretty much half a day to even meet these requirements, so if we were to go to individual homes, that would be even that much more difficult.
Last election, were there a lot of requests for in-home
I don't
voting?
recall one request the last election,
Okay.
Councillor.
Thank
But
you.
that's one of the other bylaw that we have in place requires a nomination deposit of $25 cash. That's actually, it was interesting when I pulled that bylaw out. That's been in place since 1979, so $25 then was a bit of money, but it's not quite as much.
So is
now,
$100
right? So
the equivalent?
I thought it was interesting. So I don't know if you want to change that because
Leave it
that,
alone.
I think 25's there. And the other one was for, that it does not require a list of electors. That's the third
Yes,
bylaw
yes.
that we have in
Mhm.
place. So the question, I guess, is April 24th is the last day for council to pass a bylaw
That's
to
right.
change the manner in which the chief elected official is either elected or appointed, so that's the mayor's position. Right now, the mayor's position is elected, and if council wants to change that, then you have to pass a bylaw by April 24th.
The other model, as you all
It's a
know,
Reeves model.
is the county elects their councillors and they pick their reeve internally. School division elects their councillors and they pick their chairman internally.
Does Glenwood Spring do it that way as well? I don't know. They did in the past.
Personally, I
No, there-
think,
I don't know.
I
I think
think the
that's
model
only-
of the county is an interesting model.
Yeah, well, I think they only allow that for villages, I think, don't they?
No.
I don't think that's, I don't think towns can do that.
Towns can if towns want
According to
to.
council, according to the bylaw, you can.
Towns
But
can if they
council-
want.
Council has to pass a bylaw in order to do so.
I haven't heard any request in this council for that to be changed. I think the electors are happy with the way it currently is.
I think it would be a gross mistake to not allow the electors to elect their mayor directly.
How does that do it in a county and get away with it?
It's legal. It's just legal to do that.
And their people are happy.
It's because, if I might, the reason it works better in the counties is because they're divided up by divisions or wards.
Precincts.
Okay.
So when you're electing a representative, it's for your own jurisdiction.
All right.
And to elect a reeve for the entire jurisdiction gives a little bit of a different dynamic to how that works.
Okay, I
right?
understand, thank you.
The other question I have is, do you want a bylaw presented for additional number or types of identification to verify their name and address? The Act allows for a number of options. I don't know if you want me to.
I think
do
the
anything in
Act has
addition
a fairly lengthy bunch of options, and I think pretty well anybody can provide one of those things. The only difficulty is if they have a bill that is in the name of their husband, and they want to vote, they can't use that bill because it has to be registered in their name in order to be able to be acceptable. That's the problem. So a hydro bill or phone bill or whatever, it's only good if it's in the name of the person that's voting.
Have we had any problems in the past with
No,
voting?
most people have some type of government issued.
You would hope.
So it's, you know,
The other question I have for you, and we did this with the last election, I think there's some value in the returning officer being separate from council and administration. If something were to go wrong during the election, the last thing as a CAO I want to do is have to be working with a disgruntled council member that, like just happened on the Blood Reserve where,
Right.
Yeah, flip the
you know,
coin.
they had to go to a second election
Imagine.
and so that could be difficult. I have spoken with Paul Doig, and he is willing to be the returning officer, and that will take a resolution of council to appoint Paul as And that can happen as far away as August, but if you'd like to put a motion forward tonight, I would appreciate it, because then it would be taken care
I'll
of.
put it forward.
Councillor Kronen so moves on that,
That we retain Paul Doig as the
Returning officer.
election returning officer.
discussion on that motion, on that resolution. All in favor? Resolution carries. Marian, I'd like to go back to the $25 fee. That's for candidates to file, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
If that's been in place now for a quarter century,
Should
I
be
think we
more.
should raise it to 50.
Should be more, even more, $100 should be.
They can't afford that.
It's still,
I don't-
it's still refundable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only if you win.
If you
Well-
win, it's refundable. If you,
Yeah, if
or
you
if you're
lose,
within
it's-
so many votes of the lowest
Yeah.
vote getter,
Yeah.
it's refundable.
I think,
I don't know whether it deters candidates or not, I don't know.
Councillor Edmonds?
Didn't you declare that on your income tax?
no, I haven't.
No, the answer is no.
Well, you wouldn't because you got it back.
No, you don't get it back. If you lost your
No,
You
but
you can't claim it on your tax return.
With the number of communities that are just struggling to get people to run, I wouldn't think we want to put any more roadblocks in the way. I wouldn't see a reason to raise it to 50, just leave it at 25.
As
Four-year
I-
term is going to be enough of a roadblock.
As I've talked to people about our forthcoming election, they mention 4 years and they turn off.
Yeah.
That's the big,
You would have enough roadblocks in
Yeah.
place, so.
Well, let's hope we'll have a sufficient amount of people on the first night of the election, so that we don't have to keep the elections open forever and ever.
just reopen nominations a week later.
That has happened in other little towns around
It's
here.
going to happen this year too. Okay, we can move on now, I think. So the next piece is from Municipal Affairs regarding whether the town of Cardston wishes to submit
Hmm?
for the 12th Annual Ministers Awards for Municipal Excellence. Marian has spoken with the staff, I guess probably what, the foreman, Marian?
Mhm.
So if anyone from council wants to mention to administration, if we want to nominate anything that's going on for municipal excellence. So I'll move on to the next piece, which is from, that's on that page right there.
Alberta Energy.
Alberta Energy.
And I apologize, Mayor, I believe that this came via email and it was on a previous agenda, so I apologize if it's duplicated. It's a response to our letter on the transmission costs.
Yes, we
Gotcha.
So I
had it
apologize for
before.
that, I
Yeah.
realized when I was reviewing the agenda.
Well, it's a good reminder that we were in fact interested in knowing what's going on.
12C is from Global Training. They're having an open house for anyone who'd like to learn what they do.
April the 17th?
They have some newly renovated offices. They're going to feed people who show up with
It's
refreshments.
this Thursday.
This Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1:30. And I hope you all know where the Global Training Office is. It's just west of the post office, next, one door west of the post office. The final piece of correspondence is
Unfortunately, I'm not in
from
town.
Shaw Cable. Their programming people are going to be in town on Thursday. And if anyone from council would like to be interviewed on anything upcoming, summer events, local highlights, how the town is doing after the hailstorm, whatever, you can read that. So I'll probably be in touch with them, and we should probably talk about maybe the powwow, maybe give them a bit of an update. Marian, do we have anything recent? I believe about 90 days ago, someone contacted me from the media saying that the Insurance Commission, is that from Canada or from the province, said that we're up to $85 million in insurance claims. I don't know if there's anything new.
We have had no evidence of that, Your Worship, so I don't know where we have
Yeah.
not been informed of that.
Okay, all right.
No.
I
Anyway,
also
so that-
think, Mayor Schow, since you're going to be the one speaking, could we maybe put a plug for our summer theater, campground, whatever?
Well, that's interesting. I'll tell you, I had a contact the other day, about a week ago, from an outfit called Communities of Distinction. They'd like to feature us on a national, actually an international television program And I gave him the whole 9 yards about the wonderful community that we have. There's a $25,000 price tag to it. So I don't think we're going anywhere with that one. I mean, it would be wonderful, $25,000, I mean, if we tried to go out and resell slots for that advertising to specific businesses or to the chamber, to the town, the county.
No, but I'm talking, this is free.
No, I know. So we can, yeah, I will put in I will
The
put in all those
golf course,
plugs.
the golf course, the theater, the campground, I mean, anything coming up that makes us interesting in the summertime, power.
And then I will do
Cultural
basically the same
thing.
thing with this, as I did with this Communities of Distinction. Terry Bradshaw, the former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, is kind of their face on this television show out of Florida. But anyway, so yeah, I certainly can mention all those things to them.
I mean, this is free. So we can put a lot there.
Nothing's free.
Well, I'm sorry, this is a freebie.
Well,
It truly is.
it doesn't come with a cost to us, so I guess for us and the taxpayers, it's free for that, so we'll take advantage of it. Any further questions or comments relating to any of these pieces of correspondence? The chair will honor a motion. Councillor Edmonds moved to adjourn.
Wait, okay.
Sure.